What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Movie Raised.
Fans of The Vampire Diaries hold unconditional love for the three main leads in the show, Elena, Stefan, and Damon, but you'll be surprised to know that the actors who portrayed these characters weren't the first choice. Fans of The Vampire Diaries can't imagine anyone other than Ian Somerhalder as Damon Salvatore, Nina Dobrev as Elena Gilbert, and Paul Wesley for Stefan Salvatore. However, several actors almost played these roles. The Vampire Diaries, based on the book series by L.J. Smith, was co-created by Julie Plec and Kevin Williamson. The series aired on the CW from 2009 to 2017, with The Vampire Diaries ending after season 8. The Supernatural series also holds the record for the longest vampire show ever created. Now, get ready to see the actors who were almost cast in TVD. Ashley Simpson as Elena Gilbert. Can you guys believe that it has been 12 years since The Vampire Diaries made its debut on the CW? It has been that long since Stefan walked in Mystic Falls for his love, Elena. And we believe you're still as obsessed with the show as you were back then, but even though you've spent nights watching all the details about the famous show, this show is still full of surprises even to this day, especially when it comes to castings that could have happened. For example, Ashley Simpson almost played Elena on The Vampire Diaries. However, the network eventually chose to go differently with Nina Dobrev. Simpson was later cast on the Melrose Place revival. So we can only imagine how different the show would have been if they decided to go with Ashley for their lead role. It's certainly hard to imagine anyone else playing the iconic role other than Dobrev. However, when the actress recalled her auditioning time, she remembered how tough it was to be even considered for the role. "Half of Hollywood, I think, went out for the role, for all our roles," Dobrev explained. "I guess I did something right. Here I am." We had to discover and find our characters. Every episode we learned something more, and eventually we created and molded these amazing, awesome characters. But Elena wasn't the only character who was almost played by a completely different person. Keep watching to see all the actors that were considered for appearing in the show. Zack Roehrig for Damon. When it comes to Zack Roehrig, he has a remarkable similarity to his character's novel match, Matt Honeycutt. And with Zack's appearance on the show, we can all agree that he did a great job. But when you compare him to the character in the novels, he's quite different. In the novels, Honeycutt has a different bond with his friends. At some point, he's ready to sacrifice himself for his friend's safety. While Matt is shown in a similar storyline in the show, he also brings a hatred for vampires, even if he is friends with some. Matt's dislike of vampires often puts him at odds with his friends like Bonnie and Elena. Now, can you guys imagine Zack Roehrig playing one of the lead roles, Damon? Well, we can't, and this was one of the showrunners' first choices. But they eventually went in a different direction, choosing Ian Somerhalder. Although the casting for Damon was really complicated, keep watching to see why. The role of Klaus Mikaelson. Joseph Morgan's character had an unpredictable destiny on the show. First, the writer's plan was Morgan's role as Klaus to last for one season only. But Morgan's amazing acting skills kept Klaus, which ended in Klaus appearing on several occasions during the show. Since the show was really successful, fans needed more, and they got more. After TVD, The Originals happened, a spin-off to The Vampire Diaries, in which Klaus was the lead role. The decision to keep Klaus was definitely one of the best decisions the writers have made. Now, we need to mention that when the writers were creating Klaus's role, Morgan took inspiration from characters like Lestat from Interview with the Vampire and Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. The most interesting thing is that 200 actors turned out to audition for the part of Klaus Mikaelson, and thankfully, the directors made the right decision when they called Joseph Morgan for the part. Do you guys agree? Paul Wesley for Damon. Let's go back to when the Vampire Diaries star Paul Wesley auditioned for Damon Salvatore's part before settling Stefan Salvatore's role. During the series, we adored a lot of characters, mostly because of the amazing star cast who kept us entertained. We can only imagine how much time and effort the creators of the show put before finding the perfect cast. During an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Julie Plec, who produced the show with Kevin Williamson, announced that Paul Wesley, who eventually ended up playing Stefan Salvatore for 8 seasons, first auditioned for Damon Salvatore. Addressing the audition process, Plec explained that before getting cast as the more inexperienced Salvatore sibling, Paul auditioned for Damon's role, but the part went to Ian Somerhalder. Paul and Ian kind of came in late in the process. Paul auditioned like 15 times and Ian kind of appeared out of the blue. The only one who wasn't trying too hard, that didn't speak to me at any point unless we were filming, was Paul Wesley. So it's funny to think that he did the right thing, she told EW. Michael Trevino for Damon. The Vampire Diaries' Michael Trevino stated that he did not originally audition for the role he eventually got. We got introduced to Tyler Lockwood in Season 1 of The Vampire Diaries. The role was, of course, played by Trevino. Tyler's story in the show wasn't certain at all. He surprised all of us when he accidentally killed a girl, which triggered his genetic werewolf curse and led to some major plot twists. Without a doubt, Trevino did a great job with Tyler, playing the character as powerful yet vulnerable, and we can all agree that we kind of liked him during his time on the show. It is tough to picture another actor for this character, but Trevino initially auditioned for 2 other roles before landing the part that was destined for him. In a 2015 interview, Trevino talked about the audition process. He said that he remembers going in for Damon. That didn't work out so well. So then he went in for Stefan, but according to the director, he wasn't good enough for this part as well. As you already know, the role of Damon Salvatore went to Ian Somerhalder. Playing the part of Damon's brother, Stefan Salvatore, was Paul Wesley, and the brothers led the show for 8 seasons. But when it comes to Trevino, the creator of the show told Michael Trevino to audition for the role of Tyler. After 2 auditions, the Vampire Diaries creator Julie Plec encouraged him to try out for the role of Tyler, and he said, sure, why not? He auditioned for Tyler, and in the process, according to him, one of the last moments until you book the job is you do your network test and then you do your studio test. And out of everybody that was doing the test, including Kat Graham and Zack Roehrig, they were all allowed to get 5, maybe 10 minutes in with the director before they do the test. And our Trevino ran out of time, so he was the only one who wasn't able to get a director's session before the test. After 2 failed auditions, he kind of freaked out with the situation. Thankfully, he was so good at the audition that the directors immediately gave him the role. He appeared in 143 out of the 171 episodes, and we can't even imagine another actor playing this role. Can you? David Gallagher. It's hard to think of any actors other than Ian Somerhalder and Paul Wesley playing the Salvatore brothers. They represent Damon and Stefan perfectly, but an actor from Seventh Heaven, David Gallagher, almost played one of them instead. As it looks like, he auditioned for both parts but wasn't the best choice for either part, and the reason, according to the directors, was that he was firmly connected to Seventh Heaven. The producers were fascinated with his performance though, and kept in mind that he should at least appear in some minor role. He did appear on the show later on as the werewolf Ray Sutton. His character's destiny wasn't the greatest one on the show since his ending involved Klaus, but we're happy that we saw him on the show. Ian Somerhalder. We almost lost Somerhalder in TVD because the actor auditioned for 2 shows at the same time. Thankfully, he made the right choice. Ian Somerhalder is certainly an actor we can't imagine the Vampire Diaries without. He almost got the lead on HBO's True Blood. While HBO's True Blood and The Vampire Diaries were produced at the same time, Ian Somerhalder was the first thought to cast in True Blood. The Vampire Diaries network, the CW, produces shows such as Riverdale and Supergirl, and when you compare it to HBO, they have a lot in common. True Blood was an exciting vampire series that was set in the fictional Bontemps, Louisiana. True Blood was also based on a book series, The Southern Vampire Mysteries by Charlaine Harris, and was run by Alan Ball. On True Blood, Ian Somerhalder, Damon, auditioned for the part of Jason Stackhouse. And for the fans of the show, it's hard to imagine anyone else in the role of Jason Stackhouse other than Ryan Quantlin. But before his casting, Ian Somerhalder was the first option. Thankfully, he chose TVD. On a related note, what do you think about Somerhalder's performance on TVD? You can let us know in the comments section below. If you like the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys!